You know when you're just having one of those days? I'm having one of those days. I won't go into it, but you'll see it's quite dark out here, and that's because I've got a fault somewhere. Good job. My dad's an electrician, so he's on his way up. But I thought I would show you what's going on in the studio because all of these paintings are going to go really soon. So if I don't take the opportunity to do it now, I won't get the opportunity at all. So there's some paintings in the house that are going to go to Marine House, and some of them will go to Battersea Art Fair that's in October. But I wanted to talk you through these paintings, what's going on with them. So you'll have seen, if you've seen any reels or videos, you'll have seen this painting here. A bit more for you. I always talk about the fact that you've got to allow your paintings to tell you what they want and need, and quite often it's a longer conversation. With this painting here of the sea, it was a really short conversation. It knew what it wanted, I knew what it wanted, and I could just give it to it because there was total clarity in that communication. And at other times with some other paintings, you're not quite sure what they want. I'm not quite sure what they want. And there needs to be a journey that you need to go on with them. And sometimes what we do is we think that that journey is something negative and something that we need to worry about because there may be a problem. But I always say that your painting should continuously be asking you questions that you should answer, not, oh, I know how to paint, so I can just paint whatever I want, because A, that's boring, and B, it's not real. Not if you're being creative, that's not the creative process. So anyway, I'll talk you through these other two paintings and the conversations that I had with them.
A scene inspired by our recent trip to Scotland, and this cloud formation has changed quite a few times. It started off quite large and heavy like the seascape over there, but I soon realised the sort of ethereal light that you get on top of the mountains. It was heavy, but it had the light penetrating through the cloud as well, which then really lights up the landscape. So this sky has taken on lots and lots and lots of different transitions. And it's also meant that a lot of this in the foreground has had to change, because as soon as the light changes in the sky, it means that the light's got to change on the land or on the ground. And some of it became darker, some of it became lighter. So there's all sorts of changes and transitions on this. I think the only thing that stayed the same really has been a lot of this sort of foreground here, these areas here where you can see a lot of underpainting coming through, and a lot of detail. So I think that painting's done now. I think there's just one more thing to do here, just to change that shape slightly so it's less of a V. So yeah, we'll see about that. But I wanted to get that winding down and into the light that you can see when you're driving over the mountains, and you can see mountains in the far off distance. And then this painting was more of an intuitive painting, because this has taken on a lot of different transitions as well. Scotland, let's get you out of the way. Casting some light. So this painting here was never meant to happen in this way. So I did all the underpainting, and these were going to be rocks coming forward, and we were going to be more in line with the sea. So our eye line was going to be about here, and then it's dropped. No, it's not dropped, it's gone higher. So we're looking up here, because I just fell in love with these negative shapes in between the pinks, and I love being able to see almost sort of like a cross section, like geology, but actually being able to see through the sea. So I've created this quite impossible angle, which obviously then created problems all the way through the painting. But I really wanted this sort of rock pool idea, and then this came in quite late as well. It felt like I needed some heaviness at the top of the painting to match the heaviness through the centre of the painting. as well, and that meant that this light needed to be cast. So you should be able to see there's actually lots and lots of layers of sea underneath here and translucent layers, and that's because of the transitions and the changes that happened in the painting. And I think that painting's finished. Have I named it? Yes, I have. It's called Imagined Land. That painting's had a lot of transitions, but I'm actually really happy with it now.
Other paintings that are at the frame as smaller pieces, actually. There's one that's like a flower meadowscape. We went to the common that's really close to us, and there was a sea of really bright pink flowers. I think they're called meadowsweet. They're called fire something else in America. And it was just the way that they were wavering around. And actually, I had a photograph, but it was the video that I used. Now those meadowsweet, if actually in the painting, they've turned into foxgloves. In fact, there's two paintings that will either sell as diptych or they'll sell separately as single paintings. And I thought I wasn't going to enjoy it because I'd got a bit worried about the fact I was doing flowers, because it's not something I usually do. But then once I really got into the process and thought, actually, these look more like foxgloves to me, and I'd done some work in my sketchbook on my workshop that helped give me some ideas for that. So I'll show you that now too.
So the workshop that I ran a few weeks ago with people that I've taught before, gorgeous people that I've taught before, I'd forgotten this actually. You should be able to see that this painting here and that shape there is informed by this sketchbook work here, because I kept seeing this sort of window of light. Even when I was at Hawkwood in the landscape, I kept seeing this and imagining how this painting would be. And things like these sort of four shapes of trees here have ended up in a different formation here. And then there's two trees, yeah, see these two sort of negative shapes here, they've sort of ended up here and here in these two trees here. So that sort of thinking through my sketchbook work really gave me loads of ideas for this painting. But also this painting, bit of painting here, I've got quite obsessed with this shape here that I keep seeing in the landscape. And so I started putting that into this concertina sketchbook as well. And then I was playing around with the idea of scoring back into paint, so putting white paint down and then scoring through. Scoring through is something I do in my work a lot, but not through this kind of thickness of paint. So when it came to the meadowsweet, this is actually an agapantha, I had the idea of scoring back into the pink paint again, and that created an opportunity in the painting that came later on. So, you know, sketchbook's such a wealth of information for your work and what can be produced. And then one of the other things that we did on my course is we created all of these smaller compositions from one larger one. You wouldn't think these were all from one composition if you look at the different colour palettes as well. And this created opportunities for looking at, actually, it ended up being water. So it's about imagining the landscape. You can see sort of these kinds of techniques coming through in my work here as well. So what I feel like is I've got lots of opportunities for sort of playing around a little bit further. You can see how these look like skyscapes, and this looks like a landscape down here that I could build upon and start building it into this shape here. So that's something quite interesting to look at for the future. So I've got absolutely tons and tons of raw material to work from. So that's me.
Hopefully that was really helpful. It's shown you some of my processes, a lot of my thinking, and some of the paintings that I've been doing too. So you have a lovely day and a lovely rest of the week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.